And hello and welcome to Magical Journey. I am your host, Daniel Cahoon. Thank you guys for showing up tonight. Before we get started, I'm going to do a little housekeeping here. I said housekeeping and not house cleaning this time. Are you guys impressed? Stop. Okay, so first of all, if you want to find me online, I'm here right now, but you can also find me on the website, magicaljourney.com. All of my shameless plugs are always on there. Always. They live there eternally, as long as we have internet. You can also book readings with me on there. I have started doing readings, so remember that. I've got something coming up pretty soon where I'm going to be offering a free reading. I'll give you guys a little bit more on that coming up. Facebook, you can find me on Facebook pages under Magical Journey or under the group. Now, what's the difference between the group and the pages? Pages, you just get the blurbs about what's coming up, except for this week. For some reason, my pages are acting weird this week. The group, not only do you get an idea of what's coming up, but you also get some really cool stuff, posts that come up from not only me, but some of the members. We have some members that are posting some really neat stuff lately. You get updates and all kinds of stuff on the group. And I'm starting to upload files onto the group now. So that's also a good thing. You can also find me on TikTok. TikTok is really a behind the scene kind of thing now. I've turned it into a behind the scene kind of journal. And so it's more about me and the podcast and less about what TikTok used to be for me. You can also find me on Insta, X, and Tumblr. Tumblr is just basically photos and so forth of some of the stuff that I talk about on the Paranormal Files. Let me reiterate that. The Paranormal Files is what Paranormal Journal currently is. We're going to change that. I'm going to go back to my original plan for that. Paranormal Files will drop every Thursday. This week's edition is already up because guess what? Today's Friday. For those of you who have slept in too much lately. Also, Friday night we have a live. I think it comes on at 7 o'clock. Right here. And then Tuesdays, we have the regular Tuesday drop. Sometimes I have guests, sometimes I don't. It depends on who's biting this week. This week I actually do have a guest. Another contactee experience that I found. This one is very interesting and very different from most contactee experiences. So watch that. I'll be putting the feelers out for that coming up. And that's really all I've got for you right now as far as my stuff goes. So, hey, you guys have a good night. No, stay. We've got some stuff going on tonight. I don't know if you guys remember. I'm pretty sure you do, because my guest tonight was on the Eye of Jupiter not so terribly long ago. And I was so impressed with just the conversation and the amount of energy this guy has, and just he's a musician too, which also helps, by the way. Because I totally dig music, totally. And there was just something I was like, I've got to have this guest on my show. So, without further ado, welcome to the stage, Javier. Hey.
Hey, greetings, everybody. Hope everybody's doing good out there this evening. Thanks for having me on, man. It's good to be here. Good to see you.
You know, I gotta tell you, I've been waiting for this because, like I said, your energy on Tom's show was so amazing. I was like, I've got to have this guy on.
Right on. Yeah, thank you.
Well, and
it's natural, man.
and
people
I know, but if you're a musician, you've just got that vibe most of the time. You've got the vibe. It's the way it happens. You guys are naturally
I dig
just,
it.
well, I mean, it's all about, the music and being able to engage people with the show part of it too. So I think that's just like a natural part for most musicians to really be able to draw people in just by the nature of who they are. Um, so I want you to tell our watchers tonight, our watchers, wow, um, our viewers tonight.
I
Let's
heard that's a
not
good
talk
movie.
about the
Just came
watchers.
out. Side note.
Right, right. Tell our viewers a little bit about you, and we're going to and plug your music too, by the way, and we'll take it from
Yeah, man.
there.
Well, great introduction there. I'm moving down here away from the dogs. I'm just a normal guy. I do construction, day job, and then do music on the side. Been doing that for I don't know 20 years now. I play all sort of places, from bars to festivals. We do weddings. We do a lot of different things. Nursing homes, even. But paranormal has been something that's been not necessarily just the paranormal, but I guess we're gonna go with paranormal because that just talks all things outside the realm of ordinary, right? The realm of normal. So
Right.
all things 40 and all things fringe, all things I don't know, Loch Ness monster, right? Out there. Um, those have always
Right.
interested me. And it's not since the past couple of years I had a couple experiences that are pretty strange, and have just I don't know really sent me down the path of what is it, and even more so than that, what is our consciousness, and I don't know, diving down all those little different rabbit holes of what are we, who are we, why are we here, what is Earth, how long have we been here, and these kind of things. So
Right.
I'm just a guy that likes answers. I'm not going to say I'm a researcher, although other people say you do a lot of research, but I'm not really a researcher. I just get on a bender and go down the rabbit hole, and collect stories there where I can. Being doing construction, I'm around a lot of different people, so
Yeah.
I'm always collecting stories, man. Always attempting to, at least. Always attempting to.
So you were telling me just a moment ago that you actually have a couple of news stories that you've collected recently.
Well, yeah. So this is let me preface it by saying this. You get to talking about Bigfoot to people in public, which, it's not the norm, but I don't really care, man. You get to talking to Bigfoot about people in public and they look at you like you're crazy, right? We all know
Mm,
this. It is what it is. I have fully accepted that. And knowing what I know and seeing all the smoke I've seen and knowing that there has got to be fire where there is smoke, I don't know. I just don't really care. And I speak to people about these things. So, with that being said, recently I'm discussing at work Bigfoot out loud with somebody. And yeah, I'm sitting discussing Bigfoot. Had to get away from the dog there. I'm sitting discussing Bigfoot out loud with somebody. And they looked at me like I was crazy. On lunch break, they came up to my vehicle and on the side told me that they live out in Indiana. So I'm in Cincinnati. That's where this takes place. Indiana's not the Indiana border's not that crazy far. There's a lot of people that drive from Indiana to Ohio. So this guy's only 30 minutes, 45 minutes, away from Cincinnati, not far into Indiana. It's
right.
a place called Bright, Indiana, like bright lights. That's where this apparently took place, right? So, story is this guy is out camping. He's with his wife. He's with his best friend from like elementary school. This guy's like 34 years old. With his best friend from elementary school, they're out camping in the woods, and they're sitting at the campfire. The guy's with his wife. He's with his wife. They're all hanging out, having a good time. An orb goes over this guy's head, his friend's head. They're both
Okay.
not really into paranormal like that, he said, but this orb sits and goes over his head. Everybody sees it. And it sat there. He said it went and down, up and down, and then it just flew off.
Wow.
6 months later, okay, his friend died of something to do with his heart. His friend's only 34. Didn't get the, you know what? So for all you people out there thinking he didn't get the, stick or anything like that. So not a factor there. Interesting correlation. Interesting
Yeah.
correlation in the fact that there are a lot of, if for those who are initiated, those who know, a lot of, not a lot, but there have been a fair number of researchers throughout the years who have had encounters with Bigfoot, with whatever encrypted creatures that are not on the everyday map, and have then later come down with ailments or have ended up being unalived um,
Hmm.
within the next year, 2 years. It's interesting. I mean, there's enough correlation, it's not causation. However, there is enough smoke to where perhaps fire is present. Linda
Right.
Godfrey comes to mind, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and I maybe don't slam me in the comments if I'm wrong. I might be mistaken, but encounters that she had. I remember there's been speculation of illness being linked to some of the encounters she had. Nonetheless, very interesting story. His friend
Mhm.
fell ill, so we continued talking, and I asked him what did he make of that, and did he ever hear about the whole orbs being seen and just cryptids in
Mhm.
general being seen, and there being illnesses linked to things afterwards. Um, he stopped and just looked at me and said, "Yeah." His friend never had anything going on. His friend wasn't into this because he said that it seemed as if his friend was marked from that point forward. Never did find out what he meant from that by marked. If there were perhaps strange dreams that his friend played with.
Your signal is breaking up a lot right now. Okay. There we go. So we lost you at the point where you were talking about him saying his friend was marked, but you weren't sure what he meant by that.
Yeah, we never. Sorry about that. We never finished up our conversation. Really, I got moved to a different site and we didn't get a chance to speak
Mm.
again. So I don't know exactly what he meant by marked. If that meant that perhaps his friend, I mean, was plagued by some type of dreams, or was he plagued by? I don't know exactly what that meant. So I'm
Right.
curious myself, and if I have any follow up, trust me, you'll be the first to find out here about that story. He said there's a lot of strange things going on in that part of Indiana, and man, this tri-state area, I'm gonna throw you in there too. Really, Quad State, Kentucky, Tennessee, Indiana,
Mm-hmm.
Ohio. Midwest, man, really. I mean, but especially this Quad State area, it just seems so charged. I get stories all the time. I just worked at a haunted job site. I just worked at a
Mm-hmm.
haunted job site. It's so just it's like everywhere up here in Ohio. It's weird.
So I have a theory on that I'm working on based on my research. It
Do spill.
so based on especially the line that and we've talked about this before, the line going from Ohio down, um, heading south. There seems to be a line that kind of like goes almost straight down. That is, and it expands out for a ways. That is winds up being it crisscrosses the 33rd parallel. Now, something my
Hey,
thought on that my thought on that is that somewhere around those areas there's something that connects all of those things down to the 33rd. That's what I believe. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I'm not even sure how that works. It may be a grid line. You know what I'm talking about the power grid around the
I
earth.
know exactly what you're talking. You're talking about like telluric energies and tapping into the Earth's natural energies, and that's following along.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm following. So you're saying there may
So
be telluric. Go ahead.
I am. So one of the things I just discovered this past week about land between the lakes that I've never heard anybody else talk about is it has a high concentration of hematite there.
Okay.
So
Okay.
hematite, look up the properties. There's a lot of them. It depends on which properties you look up too, because there's magical properties, there's metaphysical properties. There's a lot of different properties attached to each stone. So what I'm wondering is if we dug in and looked at the mineral compensations of some of these areas, if they tie together somehow. Um, Obviously, the energy grid, it connects it together very smoothly somehow. I'm not sure yet, like I said, how. But I guarantee you, somewhere along the line, there's common denominators that cross all of this together somehow.
You that man, you are onto something there. And see, I thought you were going to go a different angle with that, and go Native Americans. But now let me add to what you just said. And we have a lot
Mm-hmm.
of burial mounds out here. Of course, Wisconsin's got like what the highest concentration, but still though, and I'd be interested to throw Wisconsin now in the mix, perhaps even Canada, man, for that matter, and see if
Oh, yeah, yeah.
there's a potential overlay between where burial mounds are sightings. You know, I mean, because it's all connected. We know this. You know this. It's all connected. That's really
Right.
interesting. I was just getting laughed at by somebody who was telling me that his exact words were causation is not correlation. You're talking about Bigfoot, and or correlation is not causation. Just because there's similarities here doesn't mean that it's proof. Well, people get convicted on there being circumstantial
Mm-hmm.
evidence first and foremost, and we as the public tend to stand by these convictions. Secondly,
Mm-hmm.
you an interesting correlation, and I brought this up to him, is that a lot of places that have high quartz deposits, high different mineral, just like you were saying, you see a lot of activity. And specifically,
Mm-hmm.
aren't some places out there in Yellowstone, out west, Mount Shasta area? There's a lot
Yes.
of specific, man, I can't think of, it's a black one. Uh, I've heard this over and over. It's a black stone. What's a black stone that exists naturally in nature?
Obsidian,
Obsidian.
onyx.
Yes, I've heard obsidian
Obsidian is
being
volcanic.
naturally
Yeah.
occurring.
Yeah. Yeah. Obsidian is
I don't
is a
know.
volcanic glass, so it's very possible.
Okay. Oh, so that's right. It's a byproduct of yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's all very interesting. And the land between the lakes area, I mean, dude, is that our Midwestern Skinwalker Ranch? A public area Skinwalker Ranch? That's certainly what it feels like.
It has some very interesting parallels to it. Um, I'm curious though, because most people stick to the cryptid side of um, the LBL, but there are over 270 cemeteries in that area, right there on LBL property, 270 plus.
I've heard this as well as really old standing churches as well, correct? I
hmm
mean, like single structure, single room churches, right? From
I'm
the,
not sure if those buildings still exist or not. They probably do, some of them. But yeah, I know that there's the property is
I mean, when
that
we
you
get
know
into
about, yeah.
talking about Dogman, and I mean, this is, I guess, kind of, Dogman is not Anubis, but you've got Anubis being the guardian spirit. You've got, we don't know what Dogman is. I mean, if anyone does, please chime in the comments and please say exactly what it is, because I would love to know. But I mean, we do not know that it's not a Native American conjured spirit. We don't know that it's not an inner earth creature, a government potential hodgepodge of, you know what I mean? A naturally occurring creature that was once deceased and has now been taken, and we don't really know. Or is it a Native American? I mean, who knows? But you've got, it's all connected. And with the cemeteries being
Right.
there, again, if we're going to tie back to the land being charged, which, again, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, so
hmm
much Native American activity, blood, trauma, stains environments, therefore charging land. So, again,
Right.
correlation and causation. Could it be said that with all this correlation, these are what is, I'm really, so this haunted building I'm working in, that was working in, tell you a little bit about this, because
hmm
it was weird. It's been weird. Um, so we've got a rehab job I'm doing for my company, and
Oh yeah.
it's a church building, out very rural
We're
farmland.
breaking up again.
Um,
I think you're
can you hear
back.
me? Okay.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I can hear you
So,
now.
okay. So this area doing this rehab job, and very rural. It's an insurance building. There's 6 floors to this building. Um, 2 different buildings. There's a basement as well. That's where we keep our storage area. It's our storage area for the construction guys. The rest of the building's being used until we go work on the floor. Then the workers move up or down the floor accordingly, based on what we have done. So they vacate a floor for us to rehab and do our construction stuff. This has been like a 2-year project. Um, so basement of this place, when you know, and the moment I walked down there, I could feel it. There's
Mm.
something here. Now, will it affect me? Will I, have an experience, a sighting? Who knows? I'm in there early in the morning, 6 a.m. Um, you get down there and you hear noises. You feel someone watching you. You feel like someone is literally right behind here. Again, I collect stories, so I begin talking to people on the job site about this. Few people just in passing making slight jokes, but people aren't joking. They all feel it, and they all have
Mhm.
had their experiences with the feeling of being watched, hearing noises,
Wow.
hearing people talking. Um, so again, I talked to some security guards. Long story short, and they mentioned how some of them don't even work the night shift because it's so bad. One lady said she
Whoa.
was into paranormal things and she tried the rolling ball test. I'm like, rolling ball test? I knew what she meant, but I didn't think people did this really. She goes, I rolled a ball down the hallway and it got rolled back to me. She said she
hmm
had it on film and was willing to show me. Um, correlation, causation. This was old farmland
Right.
that was taken from a family, and there was a death in the family based on old newspaper archive footage or whatever reports. Um, so it all just really begs to wonder, who knows what's really in this place. Again, nothing's ever touched anybody that I've heard of, but the electricians that have worked their own weekend overnight shifts would pay not to do it. regardless of the
Wow.
overtime. Just
Wow.
creep city, security guard, creep city. Why? You know, same question with the LBL in this entire area.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Um,
people like you with the spiritual gifts and the psychic abilities, I feel like if the gap could be bridged between the ghost people, you've got ghost folks doing cemetery investigations out in the LBL, but
mhm,
they don't talk to the cryptid folks doing their investigations.
mhm.
I ramble, but
No, you
it's all
like so here's a couple of things I want to point out to you about hauntings in particular. So anytime that you are in a place that already has paranormal activity and you start stirring the pot by doing renovations, doing changes, any kind of thing, when the activity level of people pick up in a building, then the level of paranormal activity increases, especially if it's a renovation or something. Now, why this happens, there's a lot of theories behind it, but that is one of the number one things that happens in places that have a lot of activity. The activity becomes even greater.
yes,
Uh,
yes, I've heard this.
so that doesn't really surprise me. What does surprise me is the amount of activity. That is like, but then again, we're talking about, I mean, come on. Like, I realize there's a lot of places that have high strangeness, but you guys got everything going on. You got paranormal, you got crazy cults going crazier than ever out there. You have, there was a whole Palestine incident there. I mean, just anything that can happen seems to happen there. What?
It does, man. It does.
Just
It's
what?
it's
What is going on?
it's. I mean, if we're gonna look at part of me is wondering. You know, we've got all these major cities here, so that's
Mm-hmm.
one thing. I mean, we've got all these major cities here, and it's like that's got to play a role in it. You mentioned the cold activity. I'm okay. So let's again. So many people seem to just focus on the Bigfoot dogman angle, or I'm in the UFO camp, or I'm in the alien abduction camp, that kind of thing, or I'm in the targeted individual SRA camp, or I'm in MK Ultra I mean, or I'm ghost hunting camp, or it's all,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm in the spiritual whatever psychic camp. I mean, there should be no separation because figuring out what's the key to what's going figuring out the key to what's going on. I mean, I really believe a lot of dark energy is harnessing in a lot of things. And what do I mean by that? I'm not necessarily saying homunculi kind of activity going on, but we cannot act as if these are not things that cults could be potentially bringing in. I mean, oh, focusing strictly on Ohio and Kentucky, you've got a lot of Appalachian influence.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee's got a lot of Appalachian magic. To what I've always wondered that to what extent does Appalachian magic play in not deer sightings? Or I mean, yeah, it's how to bridge the gap and find answers is kind of the quest that I'm on. And being out here, I've met a lot of people who are Wiccan and pagan and talk about alien abductions and they're
Mm-hmm.
talking about ghost experiences, and so they know it's all connected. What role are they? I don't know.
Right. So,
Again, feel like
you know,
I'm rambling. I'm gonna let you get a word in here. Sorry.
no, you're fine because you bring up a lot of really good stuff as usual. Um, so let's go to the not deer first. Even the people in Appalachia say that a lot of them are not really convinced of the legitimacy of the not deer, because there's, it could be a lot of things. Now, there are some stories about the not deer that ring with a paranormal vibe to it. So I'm not going to disqualify it. I do think, though, that it's very, um, I think it's one of those things kind of like the giant owls. It's interesting, it's very creepy. Uh, I also think that there's times when it gets misidentified. I'm hearing an echo. I'm not sure where that's coming from.
I've, let's see.
The
Let me see if I can take background noise off on my end here. I think I've got that option. Speaking of giant owls, another Indiana guy, he lives outside of Richmond area, and has claimed to see two of them. We were talking about alien abductions, and he asked me if I knew about the giant owl phenomenon. And sorry, I'm fiddling with this. Yeah, I know about it, but to what extent? And he mentioned they're out there in the woods out there. He then followed up saying he thinks that it's, and again, misidentification. Now, another wrench thrown into that mix. Screening. Certain things, screen things seem like they're A, B, right?
Oh,
Dead grandma coming to talk to you in the dream is not dead grandma coming to talk to you in the dream.
right. It's very interesting because when it comes to the giant owls, there's a whole thing about whether the giant owls are getting misidentified as Mothman. All kinds. There's a lot of like the chatter out there about the giant owls right now is a little crazy. I'm still trying to untangle some of it, to be honest with you. The One of the obvious things, though, that I'm finding is that it is definitely a consistency in the description of the giant owls in several states, including all the way up into Chicago.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What are the descriptions that you're getting?
So they usually range somewhere between 10 feet to somewhere around 12 feet, maybe. Usually they have extremely, the eye color is either red or orange, most likely red in a lot of cases. They discover, like, here's the term that it really blows me away, and this is consistent with a lot of cryptids. The colors that they describe this thing as is the darkest black you can find. Is like the most true black there is the color that they describe it as. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them have gone as far as saying that when they open their wings and expose their underbelly, that is like a very almost reflective white right there on the underbelly, and which is like it casts a large bright light almost, and it reflects light very well, sort of like a big, like after a big snowstorm. It's that kind of bright light
Like
that it reflects.
a white blinding, white light in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Are these encounters in rural areas or
It, you know, there was a rash of sightings out of Chicago, especially around the O'Hare Airport, I believe up until 2017, that some of them described what they said was Mothman, some of them described a big owl. So, again, how much of that is misidentification of one or the other? I'm not sure yet, and probably never will be
right?
completely sure. But it's very interesting because there was several people who said something about big owls right there, like especially I said around O'Hare Airport.
That's you know, when it comes to Chicago, man, they've got some interesting stuff going on too. Now, not nearly as much as Ohio, and
Hmm.
and not nearly as much as Indiana. Indiana seems to have quite a bit. Now, are these reports up our way? Are they out west, out east? I mean, you're saying I'm going up near O'Hare. Are they the rest of them that you got? Were they coming out of the Midwest?
The locale of the reports that I've been following so far are like between Ohio and Chicago. Um, that seems where the bulk of them that I've heard about so far are. Um, I've not really heard anything on the West Coast yet, but I haven't really dug for it.
Right, right. And seeking ye shall find. We both know here in the woods of Ohio, Illinois, we don't have, there aren't enough cave systems going up that way, predominantly beginning down Red River Gorge area in Kentucky and, going out south. We've got a few sporadic systems out here in Ohio, but nothing significant enough that I would think would house, if this is flesh and blood, right? Let's go off this is out there reproducing in the woods kind of a, right? Where is it
Right.
living? So now we're leaning into interdimensional, and are we leaning into, I mean, metaphysical, interdimensional? I am convinced there are portals out here, man. That like,
Hmm.
if anyone listens to my episode with the Eye of Jupiter, um, the few local people I showed it to out here in Ohio, I got another location of a potential area that may or may not be just a doorway for things to come in and pass through, because it's not a consistent enough area where something's living there, right? So, is there a doorway and something's coming through, and we just so happen to be the unlucky or lucky, however you want to look at it, individuals that stumbled on them or felt them in the area? A lot of times I wonder what Right Pat's connection is to some of the, and I don't want to get you canceled or anything, but I often wonder where the military's involvement comes in with this. Um,
Well, yeah, because one of the questions I have is there a place very similar to Oak Ridge, Tennessee in Ohio? And Oak Ridge is called the Secret City for a reason.
yeah, isn't Oak Ridge a dumb, deep
It's,
underground mill? It's underground, right? Or is it above ground?
well, the facility itself, to be honest with you, the military facility, I'm not really sure. Um,
I've heard about Oak
there's
Ridge before.
Oak Ridge was during its early years was a place that they built a lot of weaponry. There was a lot of experimentation going on, and in recent years, there's rumors that they probably have a collider there. I
Yeah,
really
that's what
hope
I've
that
heard
doesn't
about.
get too.
That's
Yeah.
what I've heard. But isn't there one in Pennsylvania, the Halstead Collider, that is like public knowledge that we know about? I'm almost positive, man. There's one out here near this. I want to say it's the Halstead or Halstead or um. But yes, the whole. Why are we as a dude? We as a species should be up in arms about the fact that CERN is allowed to exist. What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? Like, and let's be honest, that really could be. Let's. I mean, if anyone is diving into physics or quantum physics and string theory and that kind of thing, I mean, these magic is just a technology that we don't understand.
Mhm.
Like bringing a lighter to a caveman, right? Just a technology they don't get. If that's all this is, which it kind of seems like it is, sometimes, what's in mind wondering what CERN is doing. I mean, and then to find out we've got them also here in the US, it doesn't.
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, when it's so vague on their website in their description of colliding black, it doesn't say colliding black holes together or colliding, particles together at high rates of speed to create black holes to find a God particle. But what could the implications be? I mean, in your mind, we all say time travel, time slips, and time glitches, and Mandela effects, and that kind of thing. And I've heard so many interesting theories about that and how that ties into the cryptid phenomenon and what we perceive as hauntings, to where it's all just so up for speculation.
It is, and unfortunately, that's really where we're at right now. Is a lot of speculation. Of course, you have to remember too. I look for patterns in things, and if
Yes.
you notice, two of the things that are highly discussed in these circles right now is AI and particle colliders.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why are those two topics continuously coming up together almost simultaneously? They trend back and forth almost simultaneously.
I mean, don't you think that there's a super intelligence that has given the rise to all this technology in the past few years, not stopping at a particle collider? Dude, our cars have improved in the past since the Model T. Not like that. They really haven't. I mean, what, we use leaf springs now instead of, I don't know, whatever they use on the Model T? We're not doing anything fundamentally different on vehicles. We got electric ones now. Those don't work that well. Let's talk gasoline. We're not doing that much differently. And our building styles have regressed. So we as a species are not, if our technology were to improve this quickly, we'd be improving like this on all fronts, and we're not. So I mean, when it comes to a higher intelligence and the things they're trying to achieve, dude, are we really this capable of it? Because the buildings that we're building now are just, it's depressing compared to some of the structures that they were doing without
Mm-hmm.
modern equipment.
Mm-hmm.
AI, I think, as a man, AI, I think, is, wow, this is getting out there. I think black goo, AI, has infiltrated the minds of some of these people. And not necessarily, I mean, the way that dreams can influence somebody in a positive or negative way, is AI in control of some of these minds, right? And dictating, calling the shots, as in a, let me make myself a vessel for the cause, kind of a.
Mm-hmm.
You get where I'm going with this?
Oh yeah, yeah.
There are people, we both know there are people that do this on a spiritual level for spiritual gains, make deals with whatever entities. AI is almost spoken about as an entity, man. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I need to fall down the rabbit hole more. Some people are saying it's been here since the beginning of time. We're just seeing it in this capacity now. I don't quite know what that means, though. I don't quite know in what way. A super intelligence, more or less. But that would be kind of the ether that we can all tap into. So I'm not sure if that's what people are referring to as AI, but when it comes to AI and the CERN thing and AI, and it's
Yeah. It's mind-boggling to
I'm
me.
yeah, I'm under the impression that we're receiving information from something else as far as the rise and all this goes, and the goals that we're after. I think we're being slowly guided down a road. I mean, maybe, but you look at patterns and it looks like this was all just somewhat planned out by potential elitists.
What I'm curious about too right now, because I was just watching something on this earlier, is some of their findings with all of the telescopes that they're playing with right now. What exactly is it that they are? I think you froze again. But what exactly is it that they are seeing out there that they're not telling us? There's a lot of things. I have a lot of questions at once right now. Doing the paranormal journal, yeah, he's froze again. Um, the paranormal files, as they're about to be called, um, has kind of reopened a lot of questions for me. Oh, we lost him. Hopefully, he'll be back. Because uh, there's a lot of stuff. Oh my god! If you guys knew how many rabbit holes I've opened up for myself to go through with the doing the research that I'm doing right now with the paranormal journal files. I gotta get used to saying files. That was originally what I was going to call that, was the paranormal files, and then I thought, it's 2x file, but I'm decided to go back to that for various reasons. Um, Here's the thing of it: when I talk about everything connecting together, I talk about it connecting together, but there are different, in my understanding, the things that I'm learning, there are different entities and not necessarily just the Nephilim or the Fallen or what you want to, but there are different factions of entities um, that are involved, if that makes sense. Thank you. Actually, you know what? I've sadly ran out of room, and because this house is very small compared to the place that we were in before. Um, I've actually ran out of room for books now, and I'm actually having to go digital with a lot of stuff, which I don't like doing because I like having the physical book for a lot of reasons. But yes, thank you. I have a quite a collection. I understand. You're not even seeing all of it. You're not even seeing all of it. That's just like the one shelf behind me. I have two more shelves over here beside that one, and then one more over there. Um, and I'm not going to tell you how many I have in my Kindle. It's vast, and I just keep adding more. Um, and I have a stack of books right here that I'm reading. So there's that. Um, I really hope he comes back on, but maybe not. I don't know what they're doing. Um, the the rabbit holes that I'm going down right now are almost Well, first of all, I'm not. I'm trying to stick with right this minute. Um, Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. Um, I'm trying to stick with right now the specific topic that I'm working on, which is uh, the Tennessee experiment, as I call it, um, because that kind of feeds into the next thing, which is going into the connection with Tennessee and Alabama, and then Tennessee and Kentucky, and then going into North Carolina, Georgia, North Georgia in particular, West Virginia, Ohio, kind of going in that direction and pinpointing the different things going on in all of those areas. But here's the kicker: it appears to be different, but is it really? Okay. And each each one of those areas, there are specific things about each one of those areas that I believe is imperative to the overall effect or the overall function of this region in the world. Um, the the big thing, and this is where so many of you have heard me talk about, and this is not new knowledge. This is old knowledge. The fact that the Appalachian Mountains or Mountains are were at one time, when all of the land was one big mass, were connected together with the same mountain ranges as in the UK, Scotland, Ireland, those areas. That those mountain ranges and these mountain ranges are essentially the same ones. But when the land began to split, um, there was obviously we took part of it, they kept part of it. Now, I say all that to say this: of all of the small countries that have influenced history, and the small countries that I'm talking about, Greece is one of them, um, have influenced the course of mankind and history greatly. Scotland is one of those. Okay. Now, what does that, where am I going with this? Because it seems like I'm going all over the place. I know. Bear with me for a minute. So, you think about it, two of the major uh, modern day technologies that we have that is so absolute for mankind are the telephone and the television. Both of them created by what people? Scottish people, right? Um, what there's a connection between the energies, the function of the land in and around Ireland and Scotland, most of the UK actually, and the energies and functions here. And I believe there's probably other centers that I really haven't pinpointed yet. Uh, these all are extremely important somehow. How? I'm not sure yet. But I believe that these energy centers form some type of connection that, and if you notice, these areas too are highly uh they're, how do I want to say this, they're areas of high interest to occultists, to people who practice any form of magic or light work or anything like that. These areas are areas that people in those realms are all very attracted to. Okay. There's reasons behind that. There are reasons behind that. It all boils down to the idea that these energy centers are, first of all, very important for the function of what they're doing, but they also are kind of an unspoken, woven together network. The energy that they're building and producing essentially cast a web, sort of like the web that we're on right now, but not. Okay. And this is all theory. I really don't have, there's a lot of gaps in this theory right now. But I believe somewhere along the line, we're going to find that all of this connects together and builds on something, an energy, I really don't even have the words for it right now, that when combined together creates an amazing, amazing force. I believe this is probably the same types of energy. Here's the thing, Twisted. I look at patterns. I'm very drawn to patterns of things. And if you look at the historical patterns, it's really hard for me to actually, like, when I think about it, it all comes together. But trying to vocalize it is very confusing to me sometimes, because here's the thing of it. I'm not sure that there's adequate words in the English language to describe some of what I'm talking about. If that makes sense. I'm very convinced on many levels that what I'm talking about is very ancient, very ancient. And I feel like it was originally designed, because all things before the fall were originally designed for our favor. Okay. I believe that originally this was all designed for our favor. I believe it was all designed for the growth and benefit of mankind in the state of perfection. Thank you, Twisted. I appreciate that. And that's kind of why I'm here now, if that makes sense. I thoroughly believe that the reason why I was born in this lifetime, in this place and time, is really all about the timing, if that makes sense. Because even my calling is evolving in a very strange way right now. But what I will say is, before the fall, and of course, God, if you believe in deity, if you believe in a supreme intelligence, you know that in most theologies, that supreme intelligence already knows the outcome of everything, already knows exactly what we're going to do and how it's going to turn out. Usually not so great for human beings, because we tend to mess up a lot of things. So I'm quite sure that none of this was surprising to deity. But I believe that before the fall, there was all of these things were put in place for the benefit of mankind and his evolution, their evolution into becoming what they were intended to be. Thank you. Definitely no coincidence now. Um, in this, all of these tools, uh, before the fall, before the time where things kind of went wonkers on us, uh, had a pure and perfect existence. They were pure in their design. They were meant for pure intentions. Um, I mean, you think about it. If you believe in the literal translation of the book of Genesis, God literally walked among man at that point. I mean, that's the wording in the book of Genesis. Um, thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. Um, with that said, the time before the fall, there was a purity and a greatness to this planet that no longer exists at this point. And all these things that we're seeing now, um, are really the perverse use of what was good and pure at one time. Okay, that's my theology. Use your discernment and choose what you believe. Thank you, Twisted. I appreciate you, and thank you for showing up. Go back and watch the end of this later. Okay. Um, I believe that right now, where we're at, and the condition, the fallen state, that all of these things that were once used, or once designed for pure use, obviously are corrupt at this point and being used for corrupt things. They're not corrupt, but they're being used for corrupt things because of the fall. However, I also am a literal believer in the idea of the new heaven and new earth theory, um, which means what? That eventually, at whatever time deity wishes to do this, we will go back to having a pure earth, right? Um, the earth will be purged and cleansed and I'm not sure, we don't know yet how that's going to happen, but we do know that there is going to be a point where Tom, hey, how are you? Uh, where, you know what, Tom, actually, Javier, Javier was with us, and then he dropped out because he was having some technical issues. So we lost him. So I'm kind of finishing out solo here. Um, anyway, without getting too preachy, I believe that there is a point where the earth will be, if you will, redeemed. It'll be reformed, and we will have a state of perfection again. And these energy centers, these areas that are being misused and misqualified right now, the cause effect record and memory of all of that will be purged, and we will go back to having um, the correct use of this energy again, in time. So that's kind of my theory on that. I realize some of that is a little off for some of you guys because it is, it's a theory based on Abrahamic beliefs, and I understand there are people that don't necessarily hold to that, and I'm not here to debate one way or the other the validity of anybody's belief system. But what I will tell you is what I'm finding, what I'm believing, the things that I'm learning for myself right now. Yeah. And so, with that, I know this was a lot tonight, especially toward the end here. Got to be a lot. I get it. I get it. Um, I will tell you, Tom, I hope you go back and watch this all the way through later, because I want your feedback on it. Um, Closing out tonight, first of all, I want to say thank you to Roz Javier for coming on tonight. I hate that he did not come back. That really kind of, I was really hoping to close out the show with him, but I'll try to get him back at another time. Uh, Next week, I will have Bruja Ryan on. Uh, he is most noted for his TikTok presence, although he is well known among people in the realms of magic and metaphysics. Very knowledgeable person. Like, honestly, the thing with Ryan is he's literally a walking, talking library of information. Like, if you have any questions at all about anything dealing with any type of magic, or magical practices or the occult or anything else, pretty much. I mean, I don't know where the guy's limit of knowledge ends, to be honest with you. Um, this is your resource to go to, because he has some very good and accurate knowledge on a lot of things, a lot of things. So I'm very pleased to get him on next week. Was not a problem at all. I like everybody that I've gone to so far. Basically had the same conversation. Hey, I'm doing a podcast. You want to join? You want to be part of it? You want to come on, talk? Sure, let's do it. Boom. Here's the dates. Here's the times I got available. And it's a sealed deal every single time. Um, and yes, thank you, Pam. If you have any experiences, if you have any theories, ideas, if you want to come on the show and throw out some of those ideas and experiences and talk with me about them, let's do it. Contact me at daniel@magicaljourney.com. Also, don't forget the website, magicaljourney.com, for all. I'm going to go in there and I'm trying to do so much in the next few hours that I have left on this break. I'm going to try to update that site some more tonight, with a couple of new pieces of information, and then I will. Is Elvis dead? I'm sure he is by now, Fisher. I mean, come on. The man's got to be like, what, 10 million years old if he's still alive. Um, Although Madonna's still alive, so who knows? Just saying. Um, the What was I gonna say? Fisher, you sidetracked me, dude. Um, yes, Facebook groups. Definitely the Facebook group. Come join me over there. Uh, I'm trying to get that more active. So you guys, please come in, join, engage, drop new stuff on there. You are free to post on there. Um, you are most free to post on there. Believe me, if you join the group, feel free to post new stuff on there anytime you want to. Keep it clean and keep it clean and keep it real. And yes, this is important. I never put this out there. Thank you, Pam. If you would like to donate to the cause, I do have a PayPal set up, for Magical Journey. Huh? Okay. Really? I don't know. What? Paul. Anyway, um, You guys are so funny in your own way. I'm gonna get you. Um, the PayPal account. Let me go back to that for a minute. Um, I was gonna say I didn't understand what you're talking about. Okay, so I don't need more coffee. You're just messing with me. Okay. Um, the PayPal account. If you want to donate to the cause, I'm not going to argue with you and say don't. Um, right, Fisher. Right. I know. He's bad too. I get it. I love you guys though. If you want to donate to the cause, please do. Uh, it all goes back to um, it all goes back to social media, to the brand, to the podcast. I've got yearly dues now on not only StreamYard but the website, among other things. Um, and if should I do any upgrades to equipment or anything, uh, that will obviously come from donations. Because frankly, I've already pulled a lot of money out of pocket, more money than I really should have. But if you get where I'm going, yeah, I'm not going to linger on that because I don't talk about it very much. But yeah, um, I'm starting to think that maybe Fisher needs donations for his dumplings. Um, if you guys didn't catch what I'm talking about. So with that, um, oh, here's the thing that I was going to bring up early, and then I'm gonna close. The thing that I was going to bring up earlier for you guys, about the free reading. So I'm thinking I've not made this official yet, so don't get too excited about it. Um, gross. Y'all are so gross. Squirrel dumpling. That's gross. Um, I'm thinking I'm going to run a semi thing. I haven't really sorted out all the details yet. You have to be very careful on social media about how you put things too. I'm thinking I'm going to keep a tally on people recruiting subs for me. Yeah, I'm getting sneaky, I know. And the person with the most active recruits of subs after a period of time will get a free reading from me. Now, now, this is only a thought for right now. I'm really not sure if I'm going to do that yet because I'm really not sure if you guys are interested in doing it. For one thing, um, although readings anymore still cost quite a bit of money, and I'm not bad at reading, to be honest with you. Just telling you. So offering a free reading, I feel like would be a good payoff for that. Not to mention, it's also a way of helping me to grow the channel and grow my brands. So there's that. Also, I'm working on merch. Um, right now, like everybody else. I feel like I'm still a little small to be doing merch yet, but I am working on it and putting that idea out there. So there's several things still a lot of irons in the fire that I'm working on for the future. So you guys keep um, go to the group, go to the Facebook group, and you'll find out exactly what's going on, when, and what I'm planning on doing. There's a good plug for the group. Anyway, all right. I love you guys. Thank you for joining. Thank you for hanging out with me, especially the last few minutes, because I've been kind of just rambling. It is. It's a very good way to promote the show. And so that's one of the reasons. And so I'm going to tell you guys right quick before I close out. Let's see. I have uh I have I have a black and white tumbler and a tumbler with my logo and um tagline in my brand colors. I have those two things already set up. I have a coffee mug set up already. Um, I have the hats with a grayscale and the colorized um, thing. I also have two different t-shirt designs and a hoodie design. Um, yeah. So anyway, I was checking out the chat right quick. I never know what you guys are going to do or say next. Um, with that said, thank you guys for joining in. Get on that group and you'll learn what merch I'm going to be offering. I didn't mention the backpack. I also have a backpack on there as well. Um, so if you want updates on the merch and the store, join the Facebook group Magical Journey, and you will get all of the gossip. Anyway, I love you guys, and what do I always say? May your journey always be magical.